Full service, please stop. Stop, train. Oh, gosh. Stop. We gotta stop. We're gonna go into outside cam for just a second. Can I make it? Oh, I missed my stop. This is insane. I missed my stop. Can I make the back end? Can I make the back end? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Train Sim World, where we're about to take on the 1A02 Bristol Temple Meads to London Paddington, which, as you know, this only takes 33 minutes. Why? Because we're starting at Reading Terminal. I know. I love how these signs tell us that we can go to all these other places, but when we get right into it, where do we end up? We end up exactly at Reading Terminal. That's the best part about this again. Well, anyhow, we are driving an HST, so let's go ahead and turn on our DSD isolate and our AWS isolate. For now, we're just going to look at the timetable there. It looks like we actually have a real stop. We're going to be stopping at Slough and then going to London Paddington. How exciting. We need to turn on our headlights. I like to keep forgetting this for some reason. It's currently 6:45 in the morning, so we're going to put this on night headlamp and markers. We're going to turn on the train supply brightness just to have that bright. We don't need the de-icer. We're going to turn on the spare because it does absolutely nothing in this game. We're going to turn on, not the driver's buzzer. I don't know why I keep clicking that for the gauge dimmer. And of course, the master key needs to go unlock, reverser needs to go forward, press Q to get rid of that annoying sound. The brakes, we just need to release the brakes, and while we wait for that to go to 5.1, we're going to go up to throttle 3. What we got to wait for again is the brake pipe pressure to fill up to 5.1 and the bogies to drop down to 0 before our train can officially take off and go forward. With that said, we got about 17 miles to Slough. We're going to be getting there about 6:58 in the morning, give or take a few minutes, and then it looks like London Paddington is going to be at about 7:18, so that's not too bad at all. With that said, since we're moving forward, we're going to just go ahead and bump this up to throttle 5. We're not going to wheel slip or nothing. We should be good to go. I'm not going to wait around because I want to at least get there as early as I can, because I'm afraid I'm probably going to hit network or turbos all the way into Paddington itself. From the track that we're driving right now, we should be moving ourselves all the way to the far left lane just because that's where all of the high-speed tracks are located. So with that said, oh my god, with that said, we will be taking our way 125 miles an hour pretty soon. We just need to back up our throttle just enough to kind of manage our speed, so that way we're not going to go over 40, at least until we pass the 125 zone. And there it is. We passed the 60 zone, so that will help us there, and that should be enough. We should be able to get us moving all the way. I don't know why we're not on the left. I guess we're going to be staying on the right today. Oh, I forgot the cab lights, folks. If you want cab lights, you can always turn them on right here. We're just going to do that for today because I haven't actually used it in a little while. A few episodes back, I don't remember how many episodes I mentioned this now, but I mentioned the HS2 coming to the UK. The HS2 originally was going to go from one end of London all the way up to the north half of the UK. And the problem with the HS2 system is it kept getting a bunch of cancellations. Why did it get a bunch of cancellations, folks? Well, COVID played a big role in this. No one foresaw the COVID inflation curve happen. After COVID happened, basically every single price you can think of spiked. So originally, where it was supposed to go was going to go all the way up to Manchester and then go all the way down to Leeds, etc. And where it's going to end now is it's going to be Birmingham, which is only a 100-mile trip, which is, oh gods, this is like 1/4 of that trip, essentially. The goal of the HST is it's going to have trains going about 250 miles per hour, also known as 400 kilometers per hour. The train was going to slash journey times and increase the capacity between London, Birmingham, and Manchester and Leeds. So these were the 4 cities that it was going to increase capacity, because as of right now, most of the rails are kind of on the congested side. They're slow if you're driving a network or turbo, and the fastest thing that you've got is this train that I'm driving, which is going only 125 miles per hour. So that means we're going to be almost doubling the speed that I'm in right now in a network or turbo. Oh my god, in a HST, what am I saying? The reason it's going from London to Leeds and London to Manchester, or why it was originally going that far, was because the north half of England, the north half of the UK, was originally the economic hub of the country. And the problem with it is industries like coal, cotton, shipbuilding all slowly started disappearing over the 20th century. And London and the south half of the UK ended up growing richer, more economically prosperous, and was dominated primarily by services and financial pieces of the puzzle, and you no longer needed as much cotton coal shipbuilding, basically. The line between Birmingham to Leeds, that one was canceled 2021. They had originally intended to keep the 160 miles between London and Manchester. However, they canceled that as well and has pulled that back in 2023 back down to only Birmingham. So what's going to happen if this happened, if they actually only keep it to Birmingham and only construct that piece, they're going to end up with an interesting predicament in the UK. The potential for two halves of the country, north half and a south half. The north half is going to be essentially Victorian era infrastructure. The south half is going to be your modern technological era of high-speed rail. And you may end up with a north-south divide, a big issue between the rest of the essentially going forward into the rest of the potentially decade, or even as far as the rest of the century, where the north of England, the north of the UK, will end up struggling to try to retain industries, because who wants to bring, say, Tesla up to the north of England when you can't transport cars any faster than you can going down to the south of England? If you think about my mentality here, it may not just be industrial transportation, it'll be more people transportation. Who wants to live in Leeds when you can live in London and travel anywhere within a half an hour? At this point, because the train is going to Old Oak Common, which I believe I mentioned in the last episode or a couple episodes ago about building that Old Oak Common station to handle the HST, when that opens between 2029 and 2033 or some other date that's not yet in existence, which may be open by the time you guys watch this video, by the time that happens, you end up with an issue where the high-speed train will literally probably take as long as a regular route, if not longer. And the reason for that, think about this. I'm going to Slough. I have to stop at Slough. Slough's about 9 miles an hour. Look at my speed limit right now. My speed limit is just barely cresting the 125 miles an hour. Why? Because I got no more throttle. I can't throttle this train up anymore. So by the time I've taken the trip to go 17 miles, I've finally achieved maximum speed. So the only way I can make this work is if I don't stop at Slough at all, and if I just head straight through all the way to London. If I go straight to Paddington, I won't have a problem staying at 125. But because I have to stop at Slough, the issue is I need to slow myself down and essentially not maintain max speed. The other issue, if you can see up here in the top right corner, you'll also notice there's yellow lights up ahead, for example. And the other issue with the HST and why they're saying it may take longer is you've got other trains on the track that will potentially slow your train down, and you won't be able to achieve maximum speed that way either. You might have a standard HST in front of you instead of an HS2. You might have a networker turbo in front of you instead of an HS2, and so on. And so there's all these little quirks that may interfere with the operation of the train. The original plan with the HS2 is essentially phase 1, London to Birmingham. That one is still going in operation. That one is going from 1 hour and 21 minutes to officially 45 minutes. And so that particular train is going to be only saving 36 minutes of travel time. And that's assuming there's no delays of getting on the train. And that's assuming there's no delays of actually driving the train itself. The second phase, which would have been London to Manchester, which again was canceled, that was supposed to go from 2 hours and 6 minutes to 1 hour and 41 minutes, with the idea of saving only 25 extra minutes. And had they actually completed all the way to phase 2B, that would have gone down to a further 1 hour and 11 minutes of time saved. But because that time is not being saved, we're losing all of that time altogether. Birmingham to Manchester, had that been completed, that would have been an entire 1 hour 26 minutes down to 41 minutes. The entire trip really would have been a huge game changer. But because they're not doing the entire thing, you're only really saving 36 minutes to going on an HS2 for the price of more money for a ticket, basically, to cover the cost of the construction, which has ballooned just beyond anything. With that said, I forgot to mention this, our AP score needs to be 8750, 8,750. And we're already at 3705, so we're making good progress here. With that said, also, we need to stop now because we need to drop our throttle, and we're actually going to coast for a little bit because we got about 2 miles to our stop in Slough, and I'm going to try hard to make the stop work. I think I can make it work pretty decently. All right, with us at 2 miles away, we're gonna go ahead and initialize our train brakes and slow it down nice and easy. And with an HS2, the key is really stopping early because you have a lot of speed to slow down for. I'm actually supposed to be there in about 2 minutes, so there's a chance I'll be early to Slough today. I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll have to see. I'm going to kind of pull that brake off and kind of coast at 100 miles an hour. And once I hit 1 mile, I think I'm going to drop it down a little bit more. If I'm not already dropped down just for myself, that will do for me too. All right, we gotta stop now. We gotta stop now. 0.6 miles. I don't know what I did. I just somehow screwed this up so bad. I wasn't paying attention. I was looking up something, and it's time to stop. Thank God there's no red light, folks. We gotta go. Train brake 4, please. Train brake 4. Train brake 4. 80 miles an hour into the stop. Oh my gosh. Full service, please. Stop. Stop, train. Oh gosh. Stop. We gotta stop. We're gonna go in the outside cam for just a second. Can I make it? Oh, I missed my stop. This is insane. I missed my stop. Can I make the back end? Can I make the back end? Can I make the back end? Oh my God, I screwed up. I missed it. We're not stopping at Slough today. We're not stopping. Objective failure, whatever. We're going to keep on going. To London Paddington we go. Screw Slough. Screw Slough, folks. Screw Slough. We're not gonna, I kind of turned my brakes off. I forgot my brakes are still on. Yeah, running brakes. Sorry, folks. Anybody going to Slough? We're not going there today. We're going to keep on rolling to London Paddington. 45.50. Well, there's an example of missing the train stop. You could technically back up. You could back up and try to get this going, but you know what? We're going to London Paddington. We're probably going to be a little early getting there. Can I get my AP score? That is a good question. What's going on with my engine? Why can't I go? Oh, it's the emergency on? Oh, okay, that's why I had the engine on. Never mind. Well, let's continue forward. And 18 miles to London Paddington. Please don't do that at London Paddington. You will crash the train. Oh my God, this was probably the worst HST stop I've made in a long time. Normally, I kind of coasted down to 2 miles, and then I slowed down a little bit more, but I was looking stuff up. So that's what I get for like getting distracted like that, not paying attention to my screen at all. There's a chance we might have a network or turbo up ahead, so we may have to just kind of keep an eye on that. Anyways, we got a crew of passengers that are going to go to London Paddington all the way, and we'll have to get off there and make their way back to Slough. Well, folks, in case you're wondering about other places, around the world, there's high-speed trains in other areas. Japan built a high-speed train. Oh my God, I stopped my train already. This mission is a disaster. Let's go ahead and hit the emergency brake. I swear, sometimes the AWS button does not work like it's supposed to. Let's just go full service and drop that off completely. Good job, me. I'll be right back, folks, because my train is broken. Well, folks, that took a lot longer than I expected to get that darn light to turn off. My goodness. Turn on my hazard light just to play it safe. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and reset the engine a little bit. What is going on? Why can't I go? Oh, yeah, that's right. The emergency brake is still on. So we got our train brake running. We're not going to worry about that. Let's go ahead and put throttle, throttle 3. We're going to get ourselves moving. Anyhow, where were we going? We were going to London Paddington. We just need to occasionally press Q every so often. But yeah, as I was saying, Japan built the high-speed trains about 50 years ago. Keep in mind, this 2024, 50 years ago would have been, I don't know, some number of years before 2024, definitely in the mid-90s, 80s, 90s, something like that. And at the time, it was an engineering marvel, and today is still considered an engineering marvel to have this happen from the Japanese over there. The fact is, China also has high-speed trains and has at least 23,500 miles of high-speed tracks going across the countryside, and Europe has also had some high-speed trains going across the country. The United States, in case you're wondering, we have next to no high-speed trains at all. Why don't we have high-speed trains, you gotta ask? Well, the US, it's not because we don't know how to build high-speed trains. The fact is we have politics. And when you have politics, it means people argue and bicker all the time. And so one party might say, yes, trains are good. Another party might say, no, trains are bad. And there's no compromising in the middle. And that's what's been happening is they constantly argue over the fact, should we refurbish the infrastructure of the rail? And to only complicate the fact of the politics associated with it is private rail owns pretty much almost all the rail lines across the country. It's about, I think, 71% of the country is owned by private rail. And because of that fact, you can't really force a private industry to refurbish their tracks either. So all you can do is incentivize the fact that you can get them to do this sort of stuff. With that said, there's really no money in doing high-speed rail for passenger service because in the United States, passenger service is actually a losing money-generating program, if you think about it. Freight is really where all the revenue is, and there's no point to go high speed in freight at all. If we were to build a high-speed train in the United States, it would cost us literally about $4 trillion. Not $4 million, not $400, not even $4. $4 trillion, and they've done $66 billion in federal funding. That's barely anything to cover the $4 trillion if we were able to build a high-speed network across the United States. In order to make that happen, the government needs to make it in order for that to actually happen, the government needs to make high-speed rail a priority, which is probably not going to happen at all, at least in the United States, not anytime soon. Believe it or not, in the United States, some areas of the country is so aged that they're actually running 30 miles an hour because of the tracks that they're on. Some of those tracks were built in the Reconstruction era of the United States, and they've never been refurbished since. What is happening, so the only part of rail lines in the United States that is considered government-owned is Amtrak, if you think about it, and then also some of those sponsored local passenger services. So Amtrak is probably the only thing getting real funding. They're getting at least $7.3 billion for 83 new trains, but that's only upgrading the fleet, cars and locomotives, but that's not upgrading any of the rail lines because the rail lines Amtrak drives on, again, are privately owned by companies that own the rail. The train that will be able to be driven by Amtrak will at least reach 125 miles per hour. The Acela train can at least go 160 miles per hour, but that doesn't necessarily mean the train will go those speeds. As I mentioned earlier, some of those Reconstruction area tracks, you probably don't want to go any more than 30 because it's just dangerous to even try. In order to build high-speed rail for the United States, you would need to build a specially designed track that are like the one we're driving on right here on our HST. You need very straight track, a project that would at least need 10 years of time and possibly 30 full years to make happen. Most of the trains, if you look at the United States, a lot of the trains are not welded as single tracks. They're welded, they're put together with brackets and are segmented tracks. This is where you get that click, 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 click as you roll down the track. But the train tracks also are designed to be bendy, if you think about it, with the heat and the cold, because we have a variety of microclimates, and those microclimates all influence how the trains expand and contract. And so our tracks are not actually perfectly straight. This is where you get the wonderful track weaving that you'll see happen like this, left and right, as you drive on a train, where a very straight track will just be completely straight. For the United States, also to fund high-speed passenger rail, they would have to actually fund the entire project completely, and that's not going to happen when the United States has so much debt that they're dealing with. They're not going to add to the debt by building, $66 billion, $4 trillion of high-speed rail. It's not going to happen, right? Because rail companies by themselves are unprofitable to begin with. They profit just barely on freight traffic, but outside of freight traffic, they really don't make any money in passenger. And if you ask those rail companies to fund it, it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. If they were going to fund it, it's going to be piecemeal, bit by bit, and it's going to take them probably 100 years to ever get that funding to happen. The other piece with Amtrak is not only is it government-sponsored, you also have to deal with the government stakeholders, the people that are invested in Amtrak as a rail service. And so those stakeholders don't always agree with Amtrak and the idea of expanding rail. And with that said, I say 71% of rails are owned by private companies. Amtrak has to actually cede its travel time to those rail lines in pretty much almost everywhere. And they don't always have the best relationship because the private rails, believe it or not, does not always follow the rules that they set for Amtrak to go through. So Amtrak was supposed to give passenger rail right away, but sometimes the freight actually will prioritize themselves over Amtrak and pretty much push Amtrak to the side. For decades, there's basically been no enforcement at all over the rules about how Amtrak travels. Trying to make high-speed rail happen is not going to happen anyways because you have those private companies. But the other piece of it is to try to get high-speed rail across the entire country. It's almost virtually impossible. On a train that goes 286 miles per hour, on like the fastest trains in the world, That's not going to make sense at all. Going from Houston to Boston or San Diego to Milwaukee, it's going to take literally 6.5 to 7.5 hours. And that's because there's a 2,000-mile rail trip. And because of that, air travel is one way or another going to be the best way to go. You're not going to be able to beat air travel going 6.5, 7 miles. You can get that trip in probably 3. Where high-speed rail benefits, high-speed rail is really best suited between cities that are near each other. Think of San Francisco to LA, but even that's a stretch of a distance. This is more like San Francisco to San Jose. This is more like Washington, D.C. to, I don't know, Martha's Vineyard, something like that. This is more like Miami to Dade County, right? Wait, Dade County is in Miami. Well, I gotta stop now. I'm already speeding, and I got 4.2 miles to my journey, and I don't think I'm gonna make it. I'm supposed to get 8750, and I'm at 8,060. Now, from a carbon standpoint, you're gonna find that flying is going to be worse than taking the train. If you were to fly, you're actually going to use more greenhouse gases than a person who took the train. And so even the car is going to be the same issue. You're going to have a car being more polluting, I guess you could say, than a train will. And the only way that you're going to ever get high-speed rail on America track is to really focus on the environment, to have the companies working together, and to actually get everybody on the same page. Now, this is going to be crazy. I don't know if I'm going to get my AP score. I've got 83.85. We have to stop now, so we're going to go ahead and bump this down. We're going to go down to 50 because that's coming up. If I squeak by and get my AP score, I am going to laugh hysterically because this is going to be amazing that I passed Slough. I screwed up this mission so badly. I got an emergency stop, but look at that. My AP score may make it. I got 2 miles to go. Can I get this? I might actually make my AP score. It's going to be a shocker. And I also oversped really bad, which kind of screwed into my AP score a little bit. But if I can get myself to 50 before that thing goes, I might get that AP score. There it goes. We got 50. Awesome. So now we got 2 miles to London Paddington. We are going to be coasting. My AP score, 86.45. We only need 100 for my AP score. Also, I have to load passengers. I think that counts. So we're going to find out shortly here if we're going to actually get that. We are extremely early. We're about 3 minutes early to London Paddington. Good job, me. Folks, I've actually passed my AP score. So you know what that means? If you have a problem with Train Sim World, if you have a problem screwing up, please, like, subscribe, leave me comments, reach out to me, let me know what's going on with your train. We might be able to help each other out. And we might actually be able to help you win your platinum medal despite the fact that you missed the station, especially in the Great Western Express. We need to drop down to 40, and then we need to drop down to 30, and eventually come to a full complete stop at Paddington Station. Let us hope we don't have that darn light that's right at the end, and maybe we'll go down an actual platform this time. Folks, not all missions are going to be awesome like this, where you can actually drive and screw up so bad and still make your destination. That's actually kind of cool. Look at that. I didn't even know there was a platform right over there. Let me see. There really is a platform. I wonder if that happened to be a platform for Heathrow Airport. What does that station say? That is the Heathrow platform, I believe. Well, anyways, I got to pay attention because I got to stop. I want to at least stop my train and, be proper and make sure my train doesn't crash into the wall or nothing like that. Because we're coming up into the stop in about 600 yards, something. I was about to say 600 meters, but that's okay. Welcome to London Paddington, folks. Everybody on this train, as I said earlier, everybody on this train is going to be getting off here and taking the next train back, having a double trip for one fare. We can't get any better than the price for 2 for 1. All right, folks, we need to make this stop count, because if I don't make this stop count, I'm going to probably blow through the light in a bad sense. So let's get ourselves down to 15, 14. There we go. This is a good spot to be. I think this one goes all the way through the platform. This is perfect. Now I got my 9 mile an hour. I think this will be good enough for me to kind of coast along it for the next 200 yards or so. Welcome to platform 7, folks, at London Paddington. We are happy you rode your nice HSC train, our high-speed train that, it's kind of a wild ride to go on. So make sure anytime you go with me on a train trip that you schedule extra time to make sure you can get back to your station, because it's guaranteed that I might actually miss your station at least once on a rail trip. All right, we need to stop. that complete miss of Slough really scared me. So okay, that's fine. That's a little too much stopping. Once get at least up to 5 miles an hour. Let's see what we could do. Yes, this guy's calling his friend because his friend's like, I'm here at Slough. Can you please come? I was trying to go to Slough. Can you please pick me up? I'm not going to make it to my stop anytime soon. This other guy's like, what are you doing here? I thought you were supposed to be in Slough. And the other person's like, well, this guy didn't know how to drive. With that said, we're going to be stopping our train and disembarking pretty much everybody. I am super curious if everybody will leave this train. It's going to be kind of interesting to see if everybody opts to leave this train or if they plan on staying on it. So we're about to find out, folks. So once we stop our train, we're going to be opening the right side doors and letting everybody off as we now stop. So let's go ahead and hit our brakes and call this one good. This is a good enough stop right here. Literally one person gets off. Are you kidding me? What? Okay. I was like, wait a minute. Everybody was going to Slough. It turned out no. There's actually a lot of people coming off, but most of it just, for a second, it looked like just one person. It's all ladies. What the heck, man? There we go. Now we're starting to get people coming off. Everybody coming off the front now. They're a little worried to come off anywhere else, you know? Okay, folks, I just wanted to see what happened. I'm super curious. So turned out, folks, look at that. Nobody's leaving this train. Nobody wants to get off here. The only people that got off are the people that wanted to be on London Paddington. Everybody else, apparently all of these cars are completely empty because guess what? All these people were actually supposed to get picked up in Slough. Nobody got picked up in Slough. And the only other people on my train that were here are the ones over here that basically said, hey, you got us on the wrong stop. We want to go back to our train. Wait a minute. Where'd everybody go? Did everybody legitimately, oh my God, everybody disappeared. There they are. Well, there's one person. Are you going to get off? Each going to stay on for the next journey. Well, never mind. There was a car full of people, but they're all gone. Everybody just disappeared. Well, now, everybody just magically appeared to Slough. Good job. They probably took the transfer train. Let's call our mission done and lock the right doors, and let's see our final score. Our final score, how bad? Beating minus 130. No stop in Slough, which was this nice W shape there for the win. And we got our AP score, 9638 platinum medal, folks. Again, if you guys don't know how to actually screw up a mission and still get a platinum medal, please like and subscribe, leave me comments, and you can watch more stuff like this as we go along. With that said, as usual, we're going to see you guys in the next mission. I believe the next one's the Networker Turbo, and hopefully the Networker Turbo will actually make real stops instead of skipping over stop. This was actually worth it for the HST, because usually the HST is just one long straight route where you don't really take any stops. And so I'm very happy I had a chance to stop at Slough. Not today, folks. See you in the next one. Bye, guys. God, I was like, wait a minute. I'm stopping it. What the heck, man? What's going on? I just went underneath the station. Is my camera legitimately stuck? Oh my God, my camera's stuck under the world. Okay, that's just crazy.